Hey guys, Mike here. So today definitely deserves an oh boy, what a day in the market, right? I'm going to show you exactly what pumped the market up today. Something did happen, and you know how the market is, boy. Well, actually, it was a couple of things, but the one it definitely had a catalyst. I want to show you when it happened. And I didn't realize it had happened at first, and then somebody told me, and I was like, oh, guess that makes sense, right? Because remember, what does the market love more than anything else? Hopium. Right, you got to remember that hopium. All right, this. Oh my God, this can happen. Let's go! And everybody just rushes in all at once. You could just see it in the chart. I don't know, put a smile on my face at least. Maybe it will you as well. And we'll get into all those charts and something else. You know, people can ask me about NVDA and fundamentals and all this stuff. And I'm going to show you a great clip I came across. It was filmed about 10 months ago, I guess. But it describes you when it's talking about like a company's fundamentals and stuff and their financials and everything. It's a great analogy, so just keep that in mind, and we'll talk a little more about it. But I did told you I'd keep you updated with this, and one of the things that's driving, especially the Qs here, there's a couple things, is this right here. One, oh yes, margin is back, as I told the members this morning, and in a big way, right? I mean, this is in billions of dollars, obviously, and you can see starting in 2023, all of a sudden in 4 months, you see the pump up, right? This is what I kept saying we were waiting on, month after month after month after month. And again, this is, we got to look back on this, and so it's a lagging indicator. But again, you see that happen whenever you have a big drop. That little shady area means there was a 20% drop or more, right? You start getting margin back in there. People start leveraging up and everything. You can see percentage-wise, obviously it looks a lot smaller because we're talking about percentage change now. But again, people are starting to pile into margin, right? And so that absolutely starts to push the market up. I mean, that's what everybody did. Remember, I told you all you got to do is have a pulse to get margin nowadays. And the other thing is simple, and this is something I give to the members every day, and then on Wednesday we get updates and stuff. But what pushes the market more than anything? Liquidity, right? What's been going up the last 6 days? Liquidity. When it drops, the market usually goes down or trades sideways, especially the Qs here. Well, guess what? What's been going on with tech? It's been going up, right? And people go, I don't understand what's going on. The other one here is financial conditions, when they're loosening and stuff. And you can see they loosened again last week. They've been loosening over the last like 4 to 5 weeks. And you can see the chart here. This is the National Financial Condition Index. And it takes into account risk, credit, leverage, that kind of stuff. And of course, what I just showed you about leverage. So you can see loosening up, market goes up. Tightening up, market goes down. And so keep that in mind. Again, if you like that kind of stuff, because this is what really does move markets, feel free to go in the description and sign up. $7.99 a month, less than a McDonald's combo still. And if you're liking this video, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button. That will be the thumbs up right below the video there. Just go ahead and hit that for me. I sure do appreciate it and all your support. And if you like this kind of content, think about subscribing. And we also have a great community over there. Again, I am biased, but I've learned a lot from them, and they're great people, and I appreciate all their support as well. Now, what do we talk about? We got to watch closely. Banks, especially regional banks, and then small caps, right? Because they're not participating. Well, if you look, here's some good news for the bulls, right? One, I'm not going to say regional banks are out of the woods, but they're trading like penny stocks, right? PACW especially. But one of the banks come out, I believe it was WAL, if I'm not mistaken. And so their deposits actually increased. Because if you remember, PACW there said there's decreased. And people jumped all over that, man. Said, all right. And eventually there's going to be a bottom, right? This always happens. And so it don't mean it's going to be a permanent bottom. But of course, they were way up today. So of course, that helps the market. You ever notice when they're way up, the market goes green. Now, keeping things in perspective on the S&P, you can still see right there in that range, there's the little green candle there, which was still 1% for the day, I believe, as I'm recording this now. But again, are we going to breach 4,200? That's the big level in S&P to watch out for. And you can see, I mean, RSI is trying to turn up there. MACD is trying to do its thing. But here's what happened today. This is the 1 minute chart. We were coming up. It was coming. We dropped in the morning. And it's like, okay, what's going on? And then like around 11:30-ish, 11:45-ish, there's this explosion, right? Goes up and you go, what the heck happened? And here's what happened right here.
We had a productive meeting yesterday, and with all 4 leaders in the Congress. It was civil and respectful, and everyone came to the meeting, I think, in good faith. I'm confident that we'll get the agreement on the budget, that America will not default. And every leader in the room understands the consequences if we fail to pay our bills. and it would be catastrophic for the American economy and the American people if we didn't pay our bills.
And of course, like I said, I didn't even know the man that spoke because I tend to stay away from all that stuff because I mean it's useless sometimes. But in this case, the market was like, "Whoa, look at that right there! There's a man who looks like to me like he's caving, right? They were going to do no negotiating or whatever, and we just pass the debt ceiling. And the Republicans passed their bill because Kevin McCarthy also spoke today and just absolutely trashed the president and the Democratic Party because pretty sure he can see it. He's like, yeah, he's back into a corner because guess what? He knows. No president, and I mean no president from either party, wants to go down as the first president that defaulted on the debt, right? Nobody wants to do that because it would be catastrophic. And so, again, you can see right there, yeah, I think the market even knows something's going to get done for sure, right? And so, again, it went up. Now we'll see where it goes tomorrow, but that was the catalyst about 11:30 to push us up and stuff. Now with the Qs, what the Qs do, right? The NASDAQ. Ho ho! Ended up completing, filling that gap like we talked about. What was it, Saturday? I think we talked about this. Of course, I've been talking about it for weeks. And now, of course, what happens? Now, all of a sudden, right there, see this level right here is in play. It's right there. I mean, they're right there at it. So around 334. So that's going to be the next move up. If it breaks that, then guess what? That's bullish. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And while I'm thinking about it, let me go ahead and put my line back up here. I try to clean these charts up for you guys so it's not as busy. But also, if you look, another reason why it's probably going to move up there pretty quickly. See that volume gap right there on the daily? That's another reason it can fly right on through. And so just not a whole lot of resistance there. So we'll see, though. Again, you got OPEX, may have some pullbacks here or there, but we'll see on that one. One thing it does have to change, and this is, again, participation, right? QQQ keeps going up. Percentage of NASDAQ 100 stocks above a 200-day moving average, either going down or sideways. So you got to get more participation, right? Because, again, those big 10 stocks are just unbelievable. Now, IWM, this is a big one for the bulls as well. When we talk about small caps, they have to participate. They had, good day Monday, bad day Tuesday, back up to having a good day Wednesday. And if you look right here, you can see, and we talked about this before. You see that gap? I talked about that volume gap of why this can move quickly to like 176, 178-ish. And it was because of this right here. And then we talked about it about a week ago. Every time the RSI crosses over 50 over the last, 6, 7 months, and then we hit that volume gap, we fly right up to 176, 178-ish. We just can't get above the 179 area. And so that's what we got to pay attention to now. And the other thing is, it's kind of interesting to watch, is IWM versus SPY, this ratio right here, right? And all you see is like, oh, good day for it. Nope. IWM performs badly against the SPY, performs good, performs badly, performs good. And now, so, here we are performing good again, but we keep going back to the same old thing, right? And so you need to see a little bit bigger breakout than this right here, a more consistent breakout, the IWM versus the SPY. And it can't be falling off a cliff like it is now, but it seems to be bottoming out, starting to hold its own against the SPY. Again, this doesn't need to be, skyrocketing up for the market to be going up at all, okay? But it can't be plowing down, which means the SPY is outperforming it so handily, right? And so that seems to be bottoming out some. The IWM seems to be finding its groove a little bit here. And that brings me into what I was talking about with NVDA and its financials and its metrics and all this stuff, right? And fundamental. And you can see what happened today. Set another 52-week high. And again, it's broken out of this large rising wedge finally, right? And when you look to the right there, that volume profile, because that's the high over there to the left, there's just not a lot of resistance. I mean, look at that. There's just not a lot of resistance. So if people want to continue to buy in and push it up, they will. It's not even overbought on the daily. And I showed you weeks ago, when this thing gets overbought on the weekly, it can stay there for weeks on end. And then where's it been? All 2023, it's been overbought on the weekly. And every time I look at this, it gets worse and worse, right? I mean, your price to sales, 26.8. So it's selling at almost 27 times sales. And then when you go to PDE, again, this keeps getting higher and higher. I think it was 135 last time I talked to you. And now it's sitting at 165. And people say, I don't understand. This makes no sense. But remember, this is doing what Tesla did, right? Tesla was the king EV maker and everything else. So people piled in and people complained about the valuation and everything else. And it never lived up to it. That's why the price just come cratering down or whatever. But you have to keep in mind, look, when it comes to the valuation, especially in NVIDIA right now, it's all about AI. It's all about stuff down the line. It's just people are just piling in this thing, right? The valuation is a hot mess. But understand, it's not valuation that's driving this stock. Not valuations that are driving this market, right? That takes a backseat. Valuations have taken a backseat for a long, long time. And this right here was the best analogy I found to make people understand about valuations.
So we've given this analogy before. I'll do it here again, but think of valuations as the altitude on an airplane, right? Ultimately, that altitude doesn't matter if you're on that airplane. Whether you're at 1,000 feet or 20,000 feet or 30,000 feet, doesn't affect your trajectory. What matters is the liquidity that's ultimately firing those jets, which is that modest supply demand imbalance. If there's more demand than supply, then markets go up, right? And you don't really care about that valuation, but it is a risk management tool. Value matters when the jets stop firing. And that's why it is somewhat predictable over a 10-year and multi-decade period, because it doesn't matter for long periods of time, but then ultimately it does matter as a put on a business. It's a risk management tool, valuation is. And at the end of the day, when those jets stop firing, that's all that matters. How far off the ground you are is ultimately the most important factor. And guess what? Those jets are sputtering, right? And as they do, all of a sudden people are looking out the window saying, holy crap, we are, I don't know if I can use that on your podcast, but we are way off the ground. The reality is, the stocks that aren't that far off the ground will have a much easier job not only landing the plane, but they happen to have a generator on board.
And so hopefully that makes sense. And I know I get pushed back on that when it comes to Tesla, but that's what it was. Tesla, look at NVDA. They almost look identical, right? Eventually, reality and gravity takes effect. And of course, NVIDIA, like all the rest of them, will come down. That's the way it is. But one thing to look at, and I told the members I'm seeing this more than ever right now, is you got all those companies that look like NVIDIA's chart a year, 2 years ago. They've just crashed and burned. They're down 80, 85%. All of a sudden, a lot of them have started to come, well, not even a lot of them, but quite a few, have started to come into their valuation where it makes absolute sense. Plus, they're just beaten down. And then these other high flyers, the Big 10, are just way up here. And so big money is looking down going, wait a minute, these valuations are starting to make sense now. And the stocks are cheap as dirt, right, compared to relative what they were a year and a half ago. What can we do here, right? And so you're seeing this rounding bottom. There's a trend line coming across. As soon as it breaks above that and it breaks above a resistance line, they just start taking off. Right, they're starting to take off, going up 100, 200% in less than a couple of weeks. Right, and you're seeing this on especially this last earnings go around for a lot of them. And so I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if it does or does not, or what you think about that and stuff. But yes, valuations do matter. They're important. They are a risk management tool, right? But unfortunately, for a long time, they are not what drives stocks and drive markets. That's just the way it is, whether you want to believe it or not. And so that is what it is. Now, speaking of Tesla, obviously Tesla had a nice day today, coming up in this gap, trying to fill this gap, as you can see right here. We're going to get to see if that trend line rejected hard off of, actually comes into play again, because that'll be about right at the top of that gap. But you can see why it moves up fast in this area, because you got that big volume gap on the right there. So keep that one in mind. Obviously, it's not overbought on the daily either, so it's got room to move if it can continue to move up, and the dip buyers want to keep rolling in every time it dips. But Elon Musk did say something. I told the members yesterday, as soon as he spoke yesterday, I was like, get your calls ready, because he's upfront and honest, right? He says he foresees a year of difficulty for the global economy. Lots of companies are going to go bankrupt, so I'm not the only one saying that. And they are not immune to it. And also, I told you they'd be changing the marketing strategy, and that's what they're going to do. For the first time ever, they will try advertising and see how it goes, because I actually had taken a rant out that I put out there, and when somebody asked me about Tesla, I answered them, but then I took this whole other part out, which was, it's one thing I don't understand how it works, but it does work, is marketing. For those in marketing, you probably tell us about it. I see a commercial, it don't make me want to go out and buy Doritos chips, but for some reason, they'll put 5 Super Bowl commercials in there, which they boatload of money. Because it's millions to put those to pay for those commercials. And yeah, I guess people must buy a lot of chips off of them, right? What do you see on TV? Ford, GM, all those big car companies, Toyota. I assume it works having, what's the one car they have like mouse or hamsters riding around in? It looks stupid to me, but I guess it works. They spend a lot of money on it, right? And so I can see Tesla doing that. Plus, another thing, you got states you can't even buy the car in. You got to go across state lines to get the car, and then you can't get it repaired in the state you live in. So, I mean, things, I mean, he sees it. He's a smart guy. He's going to adapt. And that's why it wouldn't surprise me to see marketing going on, because I guess supposedly it works. If you're ever working in marketing, put in the bottom what you think about that. But it seems to work for people, right? So, now, last one's earnings. We do got some coming out tomorrow. So Alibaba, which has been on a roll right now. Walmart, because Target's wasn't that great this morning. It's going to come out. We'll see if they're the total opposite here. Then you'll have Applied Materials in the afternoon, Ross's for shopping and stuff like that. And then when we go to economic data, you'll have a boatload of job data before market opens. And then you're also going to have the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index. I told you about this one last time. People pay more attention to this. They're expecting it to be better because it fell off a cliff last time. And so you have a bunch of stuff coming out of Philly. Have about 4 different Fed speakers coming on tomorrow. So we'll see what they got to say. And that's all I got for you. So if you got anything out of it, hit the like and subscribe button, guys. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate every one of you. And I'll see you tomorrow.